Still Wakes the Deep is a very interesting game. I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far. I did a live stream series on this game as well, my part 1 specifically. And one thing I will say that this game does have some very intricate feel to that of Alien Isolation, Soma from Fictional Games, and as well Amnesia: The Dark Descent, along with the stealth mechanics that this game actually initially provides. What I did notice, especially when it comes to this game, is the color grading and the palette as well. Much like that from what Alien Isolation does with that color palette as well in that game too. When it comes to the narrative focus, when it comes to Still Wakes the Deep, it's very similar to that of Alien Isolation, Soma, or Amnesia: The Dark Descent, but other than that, it's still an amazing game. I love its story mechanics, the character progression, and vice versa, but what really makes this game very much stand out is that it plays so differently from other games, as I previously mentioned. I really think when it comes to Still Wakes the Deep, not only with its story progression and the character progression as you play as Kaz, you're going through a world, which is an oil rig, of course. You're trying to fix things, you don't know how to fix them, but that's where the NPCs come into play in this game. I think what really makes this game very strong potential, not only with its story-driven focus, or the NPCs that you will actually eventually meet all over again in the game, but in a more surrealistic and very horrific approach. I think Still Wakes the Deep does this magnificently well, in my own personal opinion. Now, what I truly think about this game as a whole, not just as a horror and a stealth game, focus game, much like Amnesia, or much like Alien Isolation, or even Soma, because those are my top 3 stealth games of all time when it comes to playing that type of cat and mouse type of focus. This game really captures that, and it encapsulates that so well that I was thoroughly engrossed. I love this game. Now, there were certain parts in this game that I had a little bit of much of vertigo, but overall, other than that, I really enjoy this game as a whole. I think this game really has a really good strong focus of what it wants to do, and I really think that it captures that so well. Not only as the player that you play as Kaz, but going around this whole entire rig that is under collapse, there will be certain areas in the game to where you don't know what you're doing. And for the most part, when that happens, you feel claustrophobic. You don't know what to do. You don't know how you're going to complete your objectives. And by all means, that's what makes this game so great. I really think that Still Wakes the Deep not only does have that magnificent potential as a finishing game as it is, but for me to really experience this game as a whole and playing it so differently from other games I have played of this type of nature, I really do think that this game is probably going to be one of my favorite games of 2024. One thing is for sure, there is another game called A Quiet Place: The Long Road, which I thoroughly enjoy. I really love that game. It does have some implementation when it comes to the sound design and the sound mechanics of Alien Isolation. This game, Still Wakes the Deep, still has some of that type of implementation, but it's not like A Quiet Place: The Long Road. The Quiet Place: A Long Road does have a similar mechanic to that of Alien Isolation, but not only that, it's very much far deeper. Anything that you do in that game, any kind of noise that you will create, it will attract that monster. One thing is for certain is that as far as I have played this game so far, is that it does have some of that implementation from not just from Alien Isolation, but also plays similarly close to that of A Quiet Place: The Long Road. One thing is clear here, I want to see games like this again. I think Soma was fantastic. I think Amnesia: The Dark Descent is one of my favorite games of all time when it comes to psychological horror. And not only that, Still Wakes the Deep feels so much like Amnesia. It feels so much like Alien Isolation. If you want another game that feels like a cat and mouse type of feel, much like Alien Isolation or even Amnesia: The Dark Descent, I do highly recommend Still Wakes the Deep. Whether if you're on PlayStation, PC, or on Xbox S or X. Another thing I will say, if you love movies, if you've never watched or ever seen a movie called John Carpenter's The Thing 1982, this game definitely feels that type of vibe. One thing is clear and for certain, I do highly recommend playing this game. I don't have my final review on this game just yet, but I will provide that review on a live stream video review after I completely finish this game. But anyways, to much further ado, this is Jake from Citizen JV. You guys have a good rest of your weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to all, and I'll see you guys later. Peace, guys.